All right.
What's up, fam? Welcome to L.U.S.T. Let Us Speak Truth. I am your host, Nick. This is another episode, and we got a special guest here. His name is Armand King. He is the co-founder and program director of Paving Great Futures. Welcome, Armand. And I wanted to ask a little bit about yourself.
Thank you. Thank you for allowing me to grace this great podcast.
Thank you.
And what was it you said? Say something about myself?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, give a little introduction, give a little bit of background, how you got into this place of community activism and what brought it about and all that.
On accident. I can't even sit here and fake or front like it was on purpose. I grew up like a lot of people from the inner city and the marginalized communities grew up. And now that I've been in this work and I hear other kids' story, it makes me sound like I grew up in Disneyland. Some of these kids are really going through it.
Man, for real.
But I can't even act like I was planning on getting into community work, helping the youth. That was nowhere in my program. I wanted to throw reggae concerts and draw comic books. That was my plan.
Yeah.
But one day I got presented with a group of young homies that were following in me and my friends' footsteps that I didn't even know. I had created my own crew, my own clique and organization when I was 15 years old. And me and 8 of my friends, all of which had no father in the household. And we didn't realize there was a group of kids growing up just like us that was following our footsteps too, looking up to us with no dads around. And when it came to my attention, I was almost challenged with what do I do with them? That thought first came like, okay, Nino Brown, I'm about to get them all sacked up and we're going to go out here and make some money. But as quick as that thought came, that thought left because I know what that movie brings. I've seen that one before. I'm gonna have a leadership role in the feds. They're gonna be dead in jail too. I mean, we've seen this movie. It ain't like we're gonna make something different out of it. How many scenarios of this have we got to go through? So instead, the thought was, how do we create the new cool? How do we change this? I'm looking at a group of 30 young men, 16 to 21 years old. I'm over here damn near 30 at this time. Like, how do I, this is the power that we have. We talk about, we see the Bloods and the Crips as they are now, but I'm like, if you really, really look at behind, I like looking at behind the scenes and stuff.
Yeah.
And I'm like, honestly, the Bloods and the Crips are the longest lasting and largest Black organization ever. Mm-hmm. I mean, in American history, I'll say. Before that, different, but American history. There's people claiming Blood and Crip in Japan right now.
Let's be clear, though. The Bloods and the Crips are after effect of the Black Panther and the US political party.
Right,
the bastard of that.
So 100%, and knowing the history, because I know the history. Yeah. So like I said, I go to the root. I don't snip at the leaves. Yeah. So the root is that came from one thought from one young it came from one young brother's head, a thought, and he shared it with a friend. Yeah. And then that friend shared it with a friend, and that power, that magnitude we had spread. Now all kind of stuff came in the mix that made it what it is today, but it started with thought. So that same thought, that powerful thought, can also go into doing something good. So how can we change and use that same natural power, that God-given gift, and make them different? So that's what, long story short, blah, blah, that's what happened. And here I am. It was not my choice. I feel like God kidnapped me. They say, let God take the wheel.
Right.
He didn't just take the wheel. He snatched it from me. He threw me in the trunk and said, look, little bro, you about to go on a ride for about 10 years. And now here I am, 10 years later.
Nice.
Tired.
Nice.
And born and raised in Southeast San Diego, correct?
Yeah, born and raised Southeast San Diego. Majority of my years spent in Spring Valley, Skyline area. I've been I'm San Diego, man. And I was born for the first 8 years of my life, though. I was in Rancho Piansquitas in some low income apartments. And I ain't gonna name drop, but it's about 5 some hood folks that with names that was there with me. We quickly
no PQ.
Yeah.
So I wanted to do this show because I saw this post that you posted, and I'm gonna let you read that post that you posted.
Okay. Which one was it?
So one, go ahead, Tony.
Oh yeah, it was the one that you posted yesterday that everybody chimed in about what can we do to. I forgot the
Youth.
exact word. Never. I don't know
Yeah.
if you remember.
The
You
youth
remember
one.
exactly?
I don't remember it word for word, but I know what I did and why I did it. You know, honestly, I don't do anything for no reason. And whether I tell people or not, there's a reason and a strategy behind it.
Right.
And this one was basically what would what are like basically asking what are some tactics, what would you do to help reach and help youth from going down toxic paths, something of that nature. And I did it for a couple reasons. One was engagement. If you notice one thing, people on Facebook and social media, they like to be asked their opinion. You know, we like to tell people our opinion. We don't often like to ask people theirs. And so I did it for that. That was one of the reasons. Another one was I wanted to get us to engage and talk about it. And as I read through, and I'm enjoying the comments. I'm enjoying everybody's feedback. And wasn't none of them comments wrong. Everybody had beautiful stuff. And what that told me and what I noticed, it was confirmation. We know the answers.
Right.
We know what it takes. After you done lived through this life, I don't care how gangster you are, you know what was needed for you. You know?
Right.
So, and
And
was
the
just
last I looked, it was
looking
up
at
to
it.
about 70 comments, right?
Man, on that page, I believe me, I spread that on a couple different one of my pages, and they all got engagement from all kinds of people and all great answers. So the solutions are there. Now it's everybody with these. Now, what are we gonna do about it? That's the question now. But
Right.
the thought got generated.
Well,
There you go.
we know kids are like sponges, you know, whether it's words, actions, or attitudes, they see everything. So what are forms of toxic behaviors from adults?
Oh, you asking me?
Anybody?
Shoot.
The panel. What
I'm
are
about,
Go ahead. Look, he's like, I got a list.
man, I'm like, shoot, I'm gonna start with each parent. No, I'm just,
Right.
But and honestly, it'd be and nothing against them either, because it's generational. And and oftentimes, if you track it back, like I said, back to that root, how were they raised? And then this all the way stems let's be real, go all the way back to slavery and the destruction of the family. And the way we think about women, the way we think about ourselves. If you don't love yourselves, if you don't respect yourself, how you gonna respect the other person? And then you don't know how to raise kids. It's a whole bunch of isms and schisms and situations that led us to be the way we are. But now, like that post did, it made us talk about it, made us recognize it. Now it's on you. What you gonna do about it? So change this around. You know, my birth last name is not King. I legally changed my name to King on purpose because I realized the men in my lineage, I wanted to change that tradition because it was a bad tradition, you know?
Right.
Do you feel like it was toxic?
It was 100%, 100% toxic. I had to, and I didn't want that no more. So I had to make the change. You know what I mean?
Right. Tanya, what would you think on that? What are forms of toxic behaviors from adults?
Thoughtlessness. Okay. It shows insufficient alertness, you know, especially when they're not concerned about themselves, they're not going to be concerned about you either, you know. So what it does is sends a coil effect. We go down, and boom, there it is. I mean, you know, that's something that's breeded, you know, something that, and this is just my opinion, that's something that you have subjected and agreed upon to take upon yourself, you know. So now the toxicity is rubbing off on someone else.
Right. Ooh, Lord. So the forms of toxic behavior that I found, number one was shielding kids from pain. Shielding the kids from pain. Second one was invalidating their feelings.
Okay.
Number three, only praising their achievements. Living vicariously through their kids. A lot of adults do that. Expecting perfection. Nobody's perfect.
So I'm go ahead. I'm gonna chime in, but go ahead.
Go ahead. Using fear to gain compliance. Trying to win favorites with their kids, mom versus dad. Using guilt trips as a tool. parentifying their kid, giving too much information to a young child. Stay in a child's place. And being emotional, unavailable.
Okay. Okay. So I'm gonna chime in, and I'm just gonna get to the root of the worst part of it, of what we talking about, what me and Armand talking about, as far as the world that we lived in, and the change that we trying to make. So when you think about certain parents that have this tradition of gang life and gang activity, right? Everything from the mom kind of promoting the lifestyle of being on welfare and getting government assistance, to, you know, dealing with these men that really don't have any real positive role models in their lives. So their particular neighborhood or gang that they represent, they think it's cool for their kids to represent that same gang, dressing them up in the same attire, having them throwing up little gang signs and all that, smoking marijuana, doing all these obviously toxic traits that's going to lead to these kids having the same thing, and they're growing up with that same mentality. Now, the thing that I used to say when I used to speak to parents and groups of people, when they just talk about what can we do to try to prevent our kids from it, the number one thing, and me and Armand was talking about this earlier, the number one thing I say for our generation is different, because our generation, if we grew up in it, we recognize the signs. We recognize the wearing the colors, saying the words, you know, changing particular letters and all that old stuff. We know about all that, right? So we know what's happening as parents when we know our kids are going down the wrong path. But we still trying to figure out, okay, so what if mom is a teacher, dad is a pastor, and I don't know about you, but Armand, I know plenty of people that had really good parents and they still went down the wrong path, right? And the reason why that is, and this is the example that I give, if you got a little Tyrone whose mom and dad are, you know, preachers and teachers and all that, and little Dontrell whose mom is on welfare, got I don't know how many different, you know, baby daddies with these kids, you know, the dads is in and out of the penitentiary and all that, right? But little Dontrell and little Tyrone are friends, and they've been friends ever since kindergarten, right? So Dontrell, his situation is not as good. You know, he don't his family don't have money like that for food and everything. Little Tyrone, he good. So they go to school, and Tyrone's like, "You not eating lunch?" "No." "Why?" "Well, I don't have no lunch," and nothing like that. So what Tyrone do? He take his little peanut butter and jelly sandwich and give him half. Or if he got two sandwiches, he give him one and eat one himself. So now this bond has been created with two kids that they don't see that this other child's parents is negative, living in this negative environment. He's in this positive environment. All of a sudden he gets to this age where choices need to be made, not need to be made, but sometimes you kind of presented with these situations where the whole gang lifestyle comes in. So like I said, little Tyrone, he got all the structure at home. He has that, you know, don't do this, don't do that, be respectful. Little Dontrell don't have that. So all of a sudden, the situation happens where somebody says something to Tyrone, and Dontrell steps up, leave my homeboy alone. You know what I mean? Such and such and such and such, whatever factor he might be representing, right? So now little Tyrone is like, wow, you know, he got my back. You know, that's my friend. Now he's kind of infatuated with that whole lifestyle. Now he done got into that whole lifestyle. And as a parent, you wondering like, I'm a preacher in the church. How is my child involved in that? That's how he's involved in that, because kids don't see all that. Kids are just kids. And when you feed somebody and you loyal to them as a friend, you don't care about what situation they're going on. And you feel like you got to get that same loyalty to them. So that's how it happens. That's how a really good household that, you know, brings up the kids with that structure can still be a victim of the streets. So that's my, I know I was kind of long-winded, but
that's good. That's good. Isn't that a type of peer pressure?
Not even peer pressure. Like I said, it's more like a loyalty type of thing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And these streets are attractive. Media makes it attractive. It's attractive. Once upon a time, it was cool to be a gang member. It not just everybody. It was cool to date gang members. If you was a girl, you was a gang member's girlfriend. You didn't want nobody square. Then you get into the mid-90s, early 2000s. It was cool to be a pimp and a prostitute. It was cool, and media made it cool. And the people and the peer groups went that direction. The streets are attractive. They will pull somebody out of a two-parent financed household into the street. So it, you know, it's man, it could. I remember everything. couldn't even be a rapper if you wasn't a gangster rapper. It wasn't cool, and that's what got pushed down our throats.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of factors to this, not
Yeah,
just dysfunctional homes.
Yeah.
So let me ask a question though, because it looks like I'll be damned if I do it, I'll be damned if I don't type of situation. Because we are in a world that is toiled by negativity and toxicity. How would a parent gear their child from that?
So I'd say it's all honestly, as a parent, as a mentor, we are seed planting. You cannot, I don't care if the kid came from your womb, you cannot control what that kid does later on in life. You have to plant as much positivity, educate as much as possible, pray as much as possible. But how, that kid can't be with you 24 hours a day. At some point, it's around that influential other kid who don't have that same mother. It's around listening to that other music. And then the streets take a hold, maybe, maybe not, but you want to plant as many positive seeds as a parent as you can and guard your kid, but your kid is not you. And you got to be okay with knowing you did the best you could, because I've seen great parenting done and the kids still go the other direction. But what happens also is sometimes you hear that saying, it goes in one ear and out the other. It really doesn't, Mom. It really doesn't. It stays in this little dark black box in the back of our head. And my mom, she tells me like this: a man don't even become a man till he turned 33. She called that the Jesus year. And it's a reason. And sometimes you gotta go get your hands dirty. You gotta get burnt by the fire. Regardless, my mom could have told me all the right stuff. That ain't the type of girl you need to date. Those ain't your homeboys. That ain't your homie. My mama had told me several times that wasn't my homie. And guess what? I found out later on, that wasn't the homie. Yeah. But at that moment, I didn't listen to her. But my mom was planting seeds, and it's just honestly, it's scary. You gotta hope and wish your kid it don't take them catching a long bid in the penitentiary or them dying before they get to realizing that 33 come and they're not too far down the hole. But parent cannot control it. Your job is to do as much great parenting as you can. You know what I mean? And that's it. That's it.
And now let me chime in. I say this, and one of the things, because this is something that motivated me not to go down the wrong path, is that one thing that my parents did, should I say my mother, she let me know that there was a consequence behind every action that you take. And that's why when there was a certain particular moment where somebody wanted me to get in the car and they might have had certain things going on, they was about to go do certain things. In my mind, I was like, I'm not getting in the car with you. My mama is woo, 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 woo. If I, you know what I mean, go to jail or get caught or, something happened, you know what I mean? Because I grew up in the era to where if the police told me, look, you better tell me such and such or I'm taking you to jail, I'll be like, just take me to jail then. I'd rather go to jail than deal with my mom. You know what I mean? That's the kind of mom I had. You know what I mean?
Fear in your heart.
Yeah, fear in my heart. You know what I mean? So I think that some of the kids that I grew up with, they didn't have that in their lives. Like they didn't know about consequences. All they was about second chances and second chances. I didn't get a second chance. When I messed up, my butt was whooped and I was explained why my butt was whooped and all that. So it was always a fear of the consequence. But I always want to stress, it's two different kinds of consequences. It's good consequences and it's bad consequences. I always stress to my kids, the good consequence of getting good grades is something good is going to happen to you in life. You're going to get a good job. You're going to be able to go to college. You're going to get a free education and all that. So you got to there's both sides of consequences and actions. You take this right action, there's going to be some good consequences. But if you take that wrong action, there's going to be bad consequences. So that was one of my things. So I just wanted to give that as far as a parent. My thing is always teach your kid about the consequences of their actions.
Right.
That's the seed you got to plant.
And let me add something else in there too. Now, teach a child the way they should go and they should never depart from it, which is biblical. And another question, well, let me ask this question too. What about spare the rod and spoil the child?
Me personally, I don't believe in that.
I know plenty of people that got their ass whooped by their parent. I'm sorry, I don't know if you can cuss on here.
You can cuss.
And you still
your truth.
I got plenty of whoopings. I still went and wanted to touch that fire. Like I said, but still discipline your kids. I don't mean let them run amok and everybody discipline is different. You know what I mean? I've heard good and bad. So honestly, I don't know. You know, if your communication skills was on point, you wouldn't need to whoop them. You know,
Yeah.
what else can you keep from them? I don't know.
I'm just a firm believer in kids are not going to disrespect adults. You know what I mean? Not going. I was brought up like that. It was nipped in the bud from a very young age. So all that, you know, trying to talk and explain and the timeout. Only timeout I had was between the butt whooping. You know what I mean? That was the only timeout I get. So I just don't believe in all that timeout and talking to and all that. We gonna get hands on with this. If you talking crazy to me as a parent, ain't none of that going on in my book. But that's just me. That's just how I feel. You know what I mean? Nothing. We gonna
been to put you in jail nowadays. They have me right on the phone. They be ready to call the police on you. This ain't this.
And I feel as though with this, I would rather be the one at home laying hands on you than the police laying hands on you or bullets or whatever the case may be.
Absolutely.
You see what I'm saying? I'm just old school. You know what I mean? You gonna get the ride and ain't no sparing nothing.
Right.
Right.
I agree.
Yeah.
They locking people up though.
Yeah. Oh, well,
They
lock me
take-
up then. Like
they
I said, I'd
taking
rather get
kids.
locked up if that's gonna stop my child from being shot down in the streets by these police officers for doing something wrong. So that's just
Right.
my
Right.
the thoughts and views of the show expressed are not the opinions of
With the disclaimer. Go ahead with the
Disclaimer. Go ahead.
violence.
We're not promoting.
Yeah, I'm not promoting, but I'm just giving my view on how I look at it with children and respect and, you know, laying hands.
Yeah.
I just believe in that. Yeah.
Yeah, and I never got spanked. My whole thing, I got the look. I have an Italian mom and a black dad. Rest in peace to my
Mhm.
dad. But I just got the look, and I knew not to
Yeah.
mess with that look. You know, we
There
spoke
you go.
about this before on a previous show, and that look was enough for me. What I
So-
need to do?
No talking back, no getting
Oh.
smart, no cursing out your parent, none of that, right?
None of that.
None of that.
Yeah.
I tried that with my kids. I got a almost 30-year-old. I got a 23-year-old, and I got an 11-year-old. My 23-year-old, I gave the look a few times, and he challenged me a couple of times because he's a boy, and it was at his teen years. And, you know, a little bit personable about me, he got caught up in the wrong crowd. And unfortunately, I wouldn't say it took, but his best friend passed away. He got shot.
Mm.
My son did a 360. He is the best. We have the closest relationship. And I praise his father for that because me and his father weren't in a good space at that time.
Mhm.
But when all this went down, my son was 17 years old and he took him in and he
Yeah.
guided him. And I feel
Yeah.
like every boy needs a male's perspective.
Absolutely.
A woman can raise a boy, but a woman cannot raise a man.
Yeah. And that's
Right.
why what Armand is doing is so important for the community. And like I was talking to him earlier today, and I gave him his flowers and I gave him his props for doing what he does because it's needed. And a lot of people just don't care about that, but he cares about his community and he cares about these kids, and that's big. You know what I mean? If you just change one.
Right.
Tired. Honestly, I've been losing friends. 12 years old, the first time I had a close best friend that was murdered. You know, little Larry, he was 13. I was 12. We grew up together, mom's friends, and we ran into each other over there in Low Africa and have discovered that we were from different sides of town now. This when we first went entering our wannabe gang member stages, and we realized just because we was childhood friends, now he was from over here and I was from over there, and we weren't supposed to be friends no more. We kind of chuckled about it, but it was serious. Next day he was dead. And at 16, you know, first time I seen one of my best friends' dead bodies, and it just been piled on since then, you know. And so, you know, with the stuff I'm blessed to do, you know what I mean? Like I said, I didn't choose it. It was chosen for me, but it's out of a place of pain, just losing friend after friend after friend after loved one. This past year, 2021, I lost a loved one every single month of the year. This past year that just lost 7 mentees. My cousin buried my cousin in November. He was murdered right here in Spring Valley. 3 weeks later, I had a mentee kill another mentee that I raised over 10 years. Best friends, one high off drugs, lost a fight to the other one, couldn't take it, came back and killed him. You know, lost a mentee across the street from Meadowbrook Apartments. He wasn't a gang member, just homeless, sleep in his car, and was wrong place, wrong time, was shot, sleep in his car. you know.
Wow.
So it's been continual. And then when I'm saying close ones, I mean these people are in my life, like, you know, 15 years before, right before he I'm the last person he talked to before he died, like 3 hours before, drug overdose. So this mission is we on a 911 state of emergency, y'all. So that's why it's needed what y'all doing and just getting awareness out there, and it's engaging with the youth.
Right.
Now, let me ask you a question, brother. Speak to the I'm trying to figure out how to word this, because as young kids, young African American males, to have to see that much trauma at that young of an age and not be able to work through it as far as any type of therapy and stuff like that, that's so unnatural, but we make it feel like it's so everyday life. You know what I mean? Like when I look back on it, that's so unnatural for us to just be used to seeing your friends in a coffin buried at a young age. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Yeah, it's not. But I don't think we talk about that, because when we talk about certain things, we talk about mental health. Not to say that that's mental health, but I will say seeing your friend laying out on the ground with their brains blown out and you a teenager can mentally mess with you. You know what I mean?
It does. It does, it did, and we don't realize it because it keeps going and going. There's every time I can mention a friend dying, I can never mention an adult that came to us and said, "Are you okay? How you doing?" Your friend dies on Thursday, you cry Friday, but you're back at school Monday. You go to his funeral the next week, and then you're back to school until the next person die. And then it's back to back to back. There's no counseling, there's no mentoring. But when I was in school, wonder why you down in battles of Mad Dog 2020. Wonder why you're stuffing blunt after blunt. Wonder why the kids is popping pill after pill right now. Duh, this is their counseling. They don't realize. And now you acting out. Now you going, and then those that are worse off, those that's out there putting work back in because they believe this person over here took their homie and they don't know how to deal with that pain. And then that just continue. And you don't, now you're a murderer. Now you're a serial killer, honestly.
Right.
When you keep, it's sad, and it needs to be addressed. It is mental health. I have mental health issues that I've never addressed. When do you get a chance to mourn? You know what I mean? Took a young homie to a funeral of a young homie, then he get killed 2 days later. Like when do you
some
get
real life boys in the hood stuff? You know what I mean?
And that's my question, Armand. As much as you do for the community and the youth, who do you have to speak to?
So I can't claim that.
Me now, but
yeah, you know what I mean?
Me now.
So my mom, my girl, pastors, you know what I mean? I have some friends that some real ones, that some real pastors out here that I learned now. This is lately. Before, you just keep going. So now as an older man that actually thinks about it, I didn't think about it before. We just kept going. I'm getting high. I'm doing whatever I can to just keep it going, celebrating the homie by getting high, you know what I mean? But now, now I know, let me reach out, but shoot.
Yeah.
Truthfully, motherfucker break down, It's hard. This ain't okay. This ain't okay.
That's why I say I'm here for you, because I know what it is, and I know it's hard to try to ingest all of this and try to act like it's just the normal way of living, and it's not. It's very dysfunctional.
Right.
You know what I mean? Very dysfunctional.
So I can't lie. I want to be done. You know what I mean? Especially this year was probably the most, I've lost people my whole life, brothers. I've lost my whole life. But this past year was so crucial that it's like I was ready to bow out. When you're ready to sit on the bench and the coach say, "Nah, homie, you got some more work to do." So that's what I'm. I mean, to an extent, it's like being at war in Afghanistan for 12 years straight. You got to come home at some point. You can't be at war all the time. So so in light of that, it's like I created this mentoring curriculum that I'm about to drop. And it's really everything that God's blessed me to be able to do in these 12 years. I put into a package to give to other people all over the nation, be it a school district, juvenile detention, to single parent households that needed something for their kids and need to teach their boy but don't know how. It's directed towards young men, primarily men growing up like me and my friends did. And so I'm finishing that up right now, and that's like my cumulative project. And I'm just going to help people train mentors how to mentor. So to spread what I've learned, not just from the work I've been doing, but there's some other great mentors out there, great homies with lived experience that I've learned from too. So I took their tools, you know what I mean? I rearrange and exchange game. Okay, how you do that over here, bro? Oh, that works. And I put it all together, and now here's this package that somebody over here in Atlanta, over here in New York, they can utilize it. You know what I mean? So that's the next mission right now. But me, I'm tired.
Right.
Stay in the game, stay in the fight, my brother.
Hey, I'm keeping it 1 million. Shoot, I'm ready to go jump off some waterfalls, ride some camels, and do all that.
God gives his toughest challenges to his strongest saints, right?
That's
Amen. I think I did mine. I've served 12 years. Woo! It's been.
Okay, I got a question. What are some warning signs for behavioral change? Like if a child comes to you, or if a mother or a father comes to you and says, something's going on with my kid, I don't know what it is or how to detect what's going on. What would your advice be to them? What would you tell them to look for?
So is this a single mom? Is this like
let's say a single mom.
Well, if that happens all the time, my first thing is gonna bring him to me. If it's a young man, bring him to me, because there's a conversation that he's not gonna have with her. Right. And then there's a code in the language that I could break that he may warm up and understand me. And it might not be on that first one. We might just kick it first. The relationship might have to be built. But at some point, a man needs a man to talk to. You know what I mean? And he's not going to open up to his mother if he's dealing with certain things. But if it's a young man growing up in these situations like me and Tony, grew up in, and he's going to relate to more. He'll feel that, that saying real, recognize real. He's going to understand, okay, these folks come from where I come from. It's highly important. Mentorship is highly important. And we can break, we can help that young man navigate through this stuff, because we more than likely have been there, done that, or seen something close to it.
Yes.
What if it's a young lady?
My recommendation. If it's a young lady, then there's quality young ladies out here, women mentors too. You know what I mean?
I know for several.
So they're out here too. There's they're not just men of lived experiences, women of lived experience too. Some dope sisters that bring that person to them, because still once you parent, you know what I mean? Right. And it don't matter, you could be saying all the right stuff, you could have the lived experience, been there, done that, but it's still, you mom, you don't know, you just mom, you just dad. So now bring somebody in.
And I'm gonna say this, and I'm 1000% sure you probably know these same sisters, but we have sisters in the community. We have our Rashid Hamaz, we have our Monica Kellys. These are young. We have our oh my God, I'm Cuban Mimi. We have these women that are in the community that want to mentor these young girls. So if anybody has any issues with their young girl, reach out. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to Armand or whatever. We have some resources for them that are going to help them. Try to get in the right in the right lane. So don't think that it's only a men thing and we only doing this for men. We got women out there that, like I said, I'm pretty sure everybody I know,
Absolutely.
You know what I mean? As far as
let me add this as well, because a lot of people don't and cannot find mentors. It's always good to get into a good church-based church. And for the parents to stay active and teach their children how to become active. Looking for the behaviors that negate from what they used to be or how they used to act. So those are very, very important, is that we must pay attention as parents, whether we're single parents or we're couples, whatever it is, we must pay attention and stay vigilant, stay active, and be active. Don't just talk about it, be about it.
That's right.
So that's my question. What are the warning signs?
Warning signs are just you know your kid. If this is your kid, we talking about that as a parent. You've raised them. When they acting different, weird, just like they know when you acting different and weird. They know when mama off, when daddy off. You'll feel that vibe and you'll see that. So step in. And Tiny, 100%, not everybody has access to mentors and quality mentors. So one, do the way kids is dying and we losing them, you better do everything you can. Be it church, be it yourself, be it your family, be it you. You might have to take a deep dive and look at your own self in the mirror and see it. Are you being the best parent you are? Are you a parent or are you just paying rent? Are you just keeping the door food? I got food in the house. I got a roof over your head. I keep clothes in, but I spend no quality time with you.
Yeah.
But I don't
No conversation. Yeah.
No conversation.
Yeah.
So you got to take a deep look at yourself too, and save your babies. You brought them in this world, and if there isn't mentors, you be that mentor.
Mm-hmm.
Take a lot of just take heed and pay attention to your child. If you see your child acting differently, if you're seeing them kind of being more just turned off or turned away, you know what I mean? Sometimes you just got to sit down with your child and have that conversation. Hey, how you doing? How's everything going in school? Because it could be things from being bullied. It could be things from just being depressed. It's all kind of things that could be happening in your child's life. You know, your child could be very angry for some type of reason or whatever. So we just have to, as parents, and there's no book on parenting. So I'm not knocking nobody in no type of way. You know, sometimes we can do all the right things. I remember one time in church, my pastor said, you know, if you give your child all the tools to do the right thing in life, and they choose to make a conscious decision to do the wrong thing, you can't sit there and beat yourself up and be you know, feeling guilty about the situation. You know what I mean? So you gave them the tools to do the right thing, to be a good person, to be a productive member of society, and they chose not to do that. Now, if you didn't give them the tools and you didn't raise them the right way and they go the wrong way, then you might have something to feel guilty about. But if you're a person that, you know, you're a Christian, you raised them in the church, you know, they know the word and all that, and they chose to go the wrong way, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, what they always say too, a child that's brought up in the church, if they have that situation where they do mess up and they do have to go to jail, they always gonna come back to what they know. They're gonna come back to what's gonna help them have their peace of mind and giving them strength to keep on going. And I don't have no problem with that. You know, I think that's what you need to do, because sometimes when you get to that bottom point where you just feel like you just hit rock bottom, what do you have to feel like something is good to you? And if that's what gives you your balance, and I'm a person that I don't knock anybody for whatever religion. You know, you might be a Christian, you might be Baptist, you might be Methodist, you might be Muslim, whatever brings you your peace and helps you find your way out of that dark place, because that dark place is dangerous. You know, people have gone to that dark place and never came back.
Truth.
You see what I'm saying?
Right. And Nikki, to answer your question, I mean, as I stated before, parents have to be vigilant. Okay, there are signs. Okay, there are signs. You may have neglecting, fighting, disrespectfulness, sleeping more, you know, than you usually sleep, grades going down. Those several different things that a parent can see and pick up on when the child is going a different route.
Right. And I love that, because I researched, and the top 7 behavioral change warning signs are aggression, antisocial, sudden changes, trouble sleeping, loss of appetite or overeating, reluctance to go to school, withdrawn from activities they used to like, and statements about wanting to give up on life or it's not worth living. Those are the top 7. And that's so sad to me. So what are some ways we can be more helpful for our children to avoid toxicity?
I say, think about the words that come out your mouth, the things that you say. And you already know, Nick, I'm an energy person.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? If you put out that negative energy, that's what's going to be coming back to you. But at the same time, you're going to be putting that negative energy out to your kids. So you want to definitely put that positivity out to them. And you just want to talk to them. That's one thing I think a lot of parents just don't do. You just don't. We too busy trying to make sure the bills are paid, especially as a single mom. You know what I mean? The single women out there that are doing it by themselves, it's a lot on them. You know what I mean? So sometimes they don't have that time to talk to their child because they got to make sure that the lights stay on. They got to make sure a meal is on the table. You know what I mean? They got to make sure the kid is getting to school. They got to make sure the kid has clothes. The kids, there's a lot of things that's going on. So sometimes you lose sight of just sitting down with your child and saying, how you doing? How you feeling? You know what I mean? And it happens like that. So I think that's one thing as a parent, it may be hard, but we got to communicate. We got to talk. We got to have some type of connection and see. You know what I mean? That's kind of my view on that.
Right.
But I wonder here if parents really know how to communicate. Because if we don't know how to communicate with one another, what makes you think we can communicate with our children? You know what I mean?
Right.
So
And
Something
analyze how your parents parented you, because they might not have parented us the correct way. So we might need to change some behaviors and relearn. And sometimes it's hard for us to relearn and start new traditions. How were we parented? What did we not like about it? What was right or wrong about it? Because we may be just carrying on the traditions from our parents. And I've had to, I love my parents, but I had to analyze, and there's a lot of qualities in my father I recognize could be in me. They weren't good. You know, there's a lot of qualities in both, and there's some good in both. But you have to look at it and really take because you could be carrying that on and passing that on generational.
Absolutely.
Mm.
A cycle.
Yeah.
So as a mentor, if a boy on the street just came up to you and said, I heard about you, I need help, I'm not happy at home, I'm getting picked on and bullied at school, what can I do?
If someone honestly, that happens all the time. So not necessarily picked on, bullied at school. So at this point, I have so many young people in my life. I'm gonna try and get them. If it's not an immediate need right then, because I have to kind of gauge the situation. Because I might be at the store, I might be at Vaughn's, I might be somewhere, and then some kid come up to me. I know who what's up. You're Armand, blah blah blah. I this what's going on with me. I just can't throw him in my car and go. I was on my way to my mama's house bringing some groceries. I gotta live too. But once upon a time, it was just like that, and my life was given to just that. So at this point, what I would do with that young man, if it wasn't no emergency situation, I'm going to get his number. We're going to exchange information. I might hit him. We're going to shoot a text right there. I'm going to chop it up with him right there on the spot. I'm not going to blow him off. I'm going to make sure he's acknowledged. What he's talking about is acknowledged. And I'm going to set up a time for him to come in. And when we have some time soon, not no month down the line, this might be next day, 2 days, or whatever. And then once I hear this young man's situation, and also what area he from and different things like that, I'm going to pair him with a mentor, and I got a squad, you know what I mean? And then, so I'm gonna pair him with somebody that will have more time, because the last thing I want is for me knowing my time that is very limited, to now have this young man reaching out and now I can't be there for him. Now that's a disappointment, a letdown. I don't want to be that guy either. So I got to be honest with myself, my time. But this not everybody don't have this situation, but we've been able to build something to where we have people that I can connect him with. And it might not even be people in my immediate circle. He might need some emotional literacy. I might recognize that once I chop it up with him. And I'm going to connect him with the big homie Reggie over here with Project Aware. Or he might fit in over here, and I'm gonna go connect him. Or like you said, what if it's a woman, a girl, and I'm like, oh, let me get her with Rashida Hamid over here. Let me go connect. If Cutie said Cuban Mimi, I'm like, depending on my job now is to be a resource to that young person, and if depending on the situation, like a diagnosis. Okay, where we at? Okay, and because we've navigated, because I've dealt with this so much, I'm able to better analyze what this kid needs. And my job is to help this kid's life. You know what I mean?
Yes.
And don't let me just try and take all the kids. I need all the men. Nah, I did that. I can't. And then I let this kid down. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I've been there before where kids like just rely, and the kid will rely now that they might not have that same love or ever felt this type of love before, got this attention or this help. And then you're not there that one moment, it could turn really bad. You know what I mean? And they could be really hurt. And I don't want that. I felt that. You know what I mean? So that's what I would do right there.
I love that. So in researching the top 5, what are some ways we can more helpful, for our children to avoid toxicity? The top 5 is have them around influential people such as yourself. That's number 1. So I love what you do for that. Have them stay busy with a positive hobby, sports, arts, instruments, hearing testimonies from people who went through it already.
Yes.
Set goals for them and always keep lines of communication open.
Where you getting this list from? I need that list. That list is A1. You made that list? This your list? Hey, can you add my lucky number 6? Can you add one more to that?
Absolutely.
Outside exposure. Expose these kids to outside of what they, we grow up in this box, in this bubble. And in that bubble, we see gangbang, drug deal, hustle, pimp, and we see these things. There might be people with regular jobs and stuff. You see that there, that ain't really what you're attracted to. But outside, let's go see some trees. Let's go fishing.
Right.
Let's go. Just take me to go see. I might not be able to afford the mansions in La Jolla, but I want to go on the trip to know that it exists. Oh, it's right here. Oh, San Diego State is right up the street. Let me go see. Like, expose them outside of these gates of San Diego.
We got like 8 beaches. We got like 8 beaches.
That's why the homie got the slogan, barely see the beach. Barely see the beach. We right 15 minutes from the ocean. We don't never go,
Right. See, and Tanya here, she's from Kansas City, Missouri.
Oh, you don't never go to the beach. I know.
And she came out here and she went to the beach and I want her to come back. I can't wait.
Yeah.
I love it. I love it.
It's peace. It's serenity. Going anytime in the day, anytime at night. It's still warm.
Yeah.
That's
my family from Kansas City, Missouri. Was that the Show Me State? Is that Missouri?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's what they be telling me. I say, well, I'm from the Pay Me State, California, but it's the Show Me State. That's where my folks are from, KC.
Wow.
Mm-hmm.
That's crazy. So, all right, Armand, tell us where they can find you on social media. Tell the people.
Nah, I'm don't bug me. Nah,
He's like, I'm full.
I'm joking. I'm joking, kind of. Now, Armand King, I'm on all social media platforms. I'm not hard to find at all. And if you do need, honestly, no, all jokes aside, if you need help, if your kid needs help, please reach out. And it may not be me, but I'll help navigate and direct you to some good help. That's God's mission He gave me, and I love to do it. And just stay tuned for this walk. The curriculum's called Walk With Me Impact, and it's literally what would I tell myself on a walk? The basis of this whole conversation we just had, the basis of my post, what would I tell younger me on a walk that would help me prevent walking down these toxic paths? What did I need to hear? What did my homies need to hear? So I wrote it from that standpoint. It's for elementary, middle school, and high school. It's some real life. I took lived experience experts for that mom, for the people who can't find that mentor. I packaged the mentors up in the box. The kids' homework in this curriculum is rap music, the number one influence of our mind. They don't have to write no book report. I need to hear this song. You know what I mean? And not no rinky dink fairy tale song. It's gonna be something you want to really knock and you're gonna love it. So coming soon, so stay tuned, and thank you for allowing me to be on here with y'all amazing individuals.
Absolutely. And we're going to go into our closing statements. Tanya, closing statements for today's podcast.
I just want to say that instill confidence in your children, but first instill confidence in yourself, knowing that you have the attention of your child if you do active listening skill, have your active listening skills. So
right. And Tony?
Oh man, I might get a little long-winded right here, but it is what it is.
That's okay.
First and foremost, I'll say it again. I told him before, Armand, thank you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for what you're doing for the community. Like I said, it's a thankless job. You know what I mean? A lot of people don't understand what you do and how you go through that. And, it's only one of you, and there's so many kids out there. So I just want to encourage anybody that sees this, that might be in the community of San Diego, that wants to do some type of mentorship and has a passion for that, reach out to that brother. Reach out to me, because like I said, even though I don't even live in San Diego, I have all the resources. I'm going to point you in the right direction. If you're a parent and you got an issue with a child or whatever, or a daughter or son or whatever, I got the resources still in San Diego. I will point you in the right direction, and I'm going to get you to the right people, but we need more. We need more, because this brother got a lot on his plate, and he's doing everything he can to make it happen. But if we got anybody else out there that has that same passion for helping these kids and helping the community, please step up to the plate. Please step up to the plate. We need more. Each one teach one. That's what we need. And my shirt right here says it all. You know what I mean? Whatever side you come from, the red or the blue side, that fist in the middle is the unity. You know what I mean? We need to come together and unify as a people, and not all this division and not all this different stuff. So my message is, we got to unify. We got to put value back into being Black, being melanated, and we got to do more for the community. We got to teach these babies that there's a better way, and that we love them and we're there for them. So that's my closing statement.
I appreciate that. And parents, my closing, be more involved with your children, meet their friends, be more positive and influential, set boundaries and goals, and always show praise in all situations, not just the successes.
Yeah.
Period. So I love y'all. I thank y'all. Well, L.U.S.T, Let Us Speak Truth on YouTube. Subscribe, share it, and we're going to have more. And Armand, we want you back on the show. We appreciate you.
Absolutely. Yes. Anytime.
Thank y'all. Until next time.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace.
Peace.